All right, guys, welcome back to episode three, two, one. I'm not really sure. 218 on that one. This is your boy East Coast Trev, and I'm with my good buddy Mr. Madman Mardik. What up, dude?
Do you smell that?
No.
It smells like sweet November.
Yeah, sweet November. That it is. It is November. It's that time, dude. It's
The
it's
best month of the
surpassed
year.
that time. Yeah, I guess. It's. Yeah, yeah. I'm still in utterly shock. So we'll take it for that. So
Shock from the weather, the little cold snap.
yeah, I guess so. If you can call it that, or just real big bucks on their feet
It,
in daylight.
it's
So
yeah, shit got wild this week.
yeah, there was a lot of really good bucks shot this week. I mean, there was a ton of especially the Midwest, because they had actually gotten this cold front before we actually did. And you can just, you could
See
watch
it
them all
coming.
day. Oh
You
yeah,
can see it coming. Yeah.
dude, it was stupid. There was a ton of real big bucks that were shot and dropped over the weekend, and then now progressively kind of headed this way after this rainstorm, and yeah, there was some real good bucks that has been taken down. Should have been one more, but yeah, we'll leave that one for another day, I guess.
Today sounds like a good day for it. What happened? Take
Oh
me through it.
no,
You want to me
no, I
first
didn't
of all? You
even
want
want
to
to
tell
talk.
me who you are, where you're from, and a little bit about what you do, or you want to get
No,
right to the
it's
point?
just it's. I mean, obviously all the stars aligned, right? And it just worked out. Me and you were scouting and whatever, found a great place to hunt, and you were e-scouting, and I was actually boots on the ground and kind of took it through a piece of property, checking from spot to spot. I had been on a big buck in that piece of property for a little bit, but I think, in all, and thinking about it, like shooting the does in the bedding ground earlier on in the week, I think it kind of pushed things around, and I don't know. I think it was a little bit too aggressive in that area, right? Too quick and kind of messed things up. Not saying that deer won't show up again, but definitely wasn't a good idea. Cuz now those cameras are completely dead in there. But um so decided to now scout on a little bit more. Couldn't really find much going on. Um and then, with talking to you or whatever, you kept sending pins and this, that, and the other thing. Found this just great flat bench, and there was tons of good sign in it. So I put the camera up in there yesterday actually, and I had 6 different bucks hit that camera from 10 p.m. till 3 a.m. And so I was like, well, I'll get on in there in the morning. So I went in there in the morning, and like nothing ever happened. And it wasn't a buck. It wasn't one of the 6 bucks that I had on camera. Now looking back on the footage, so this deer came in, perfect, picture perfect. There's 2 breaks in the walls, and I'm on kind of like the corner of them. And 7, quarter after 7 in the morning, I look up, and there's a good deer coming in, big bodied deer. Seen the rack, and I was like, oh, it's definitely a shooter. Um, Deer came in 26 yards and was hitting an old scrape and was gonna reopen it. Didn't even know the scrape existed. To be honest, didn't even see it. The leaves had covered it, and he just was opening it up. So I'm watching him, and now he had stopped. So I'm like, well, I said, I can shoot him there. He's 26 yards. He's calm, cool, collective. I'm gonna smoke this thing. So one of the biggest problems was he was on my weak side. I had set my camera on my weak side so that I could then shoot on my strong side. The scrape that all those deer are hitting is 18 yards on my left side, which is my strong side. Um, and I then had to take the bow and bring it over the bridge and go to shoot this deer. And I come to full draw, 26 yards, it's nothing, right? And when I came to full draw, I looked down at the camera just to make sure I was going to clear the camera, kind of shooting over the top of it. And so I put it right behind its shoulder, pulled it, pulled the trigger, and when I went to go pull it, I pulled the bow up, thinking that it
Mm.
was gonna hit the camera, and it went right over the top of this deer. Well, I didn't realize how big the deer was at first. Like I knew it was a good deer. It was wide, tall, good deer. Definitely, definitely a good deer. And then I went and reviewed the footage, and it would have been the biggest deer I've ever shot in the state. It was a big deer, super big deer, probably mid 40s, I'd say. On the conservative side, really nice buck, super wide, long tines, real wide, long main beams, had everything. The only thing it didn't have was his G4s were a little small. They're probably 3 inches. Big brows on him. He was everything. It was phenomenal deer. Probably, and the thing is, I get down on myself because it's like you wait all season to have that one encounter, and that one
Mm.
encounter happened, and it's like you just get frustrated, and you're like, oh well, and you think about it, and it's like, was it the bow? Was it me? Was the whole situation? And these are things that like we talk about, but like you can't practice for. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't practice. I mean, you can, but you can't, right? Like you just don't know, and you just kind of got to take it for what it is. But when you sit, one of the things about saddle hunting is being in weird positions. You're not bending at your hips. You're not, there's a lot of the things that go down, and everyone goes like, oh, you missed this one, you missed that one. But in all reality, like if you think about it, how many times that you're in that saddle and you're shooting these off cantered shots that you're not, because you get into an area and you start hunting, and then like you're not cutting lanes, you're not, you know what I'm saying? So like it's just kind of like you're just there and you're shooting, and you're not expecting this, that, and the other thing. And I obviously wasn't expecting it because I put the camera in that offside. So it is what it is, man. You just
Mm.
kind of look
Yeah.
back. That
Well,
deer
I mean,
was not scared by any means when he went off. The only thing I think I could have potentially done wrong, and I'll admit it, was that deer kind of like slowly walked off, and I grunted at him, and he started to come back to me. Um, and then he just kind of stood there looking in the direction and not seeing anything, and then he turned away and he started to bound off, and he just kind of blew as he was going, and it was just like that running blow, but he hadn't looked back and saw me or anything. He just was like walking, and
mm.
then he just started running, and then he started blowing. But
he
it
and he didn't win you either. Impossible.
no, God, no,
So,
no.
and the other thing too is like the way that's set up. Like I would have set up the exact same way you did, right? Like you didn't know that scrape that he opened up was even there, but you knew there was a wide open one to your strong side. The break in the wall is to your strong side.
Well,
You had just put that camera up the night before, the afternoon
mm-hmm.
before, and had 5 or 6 bucks on it. So you're anticipating everything to be on your strong side.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean that deer would have came into the strong side. Had
Yeah,
I
you have
think
to take a 26-yard shot broadside. You have to take that shot first opportunity,
I mean
especially
mobile
this time of
hunting.
year. Like he could have made that scrape, and as soon as he finished that scrape, he could have took off on a trot, and you would have never seen him again. Like you have to take that shot right there.
Yeah, I mean, it was there, and it was, and you think about it, and I had all the time in the world ranging him, and he was coming in, eating, and then he had hit the scrape, and it is what it is, man. Like, but I mean, to have a mid 40s deer at fucking 26 yards and buff it, you're like fuck, and you just wait, you know what I'm saying? And the thing is, hey, listen, dude, this is the thing about the whole situation, right? Where it's like I had my opportunity. The encounter is there. It was a great encounter. It was a learning lesson. It was great. You just don't wish that it was on one of the deer that could potentially be in the top 10 deer of the season. Like, you just like overall for the state, right? Like, that's a big deer. Like, it's not a little deer. And the thing is that deer is a young deer. I mean, that deer, I would put him in the 3.5 to 4.5 year old range. He wasn't an old deer, young deer, just big rack on him. Um,
Hmm.
but there's other deer in there. I mean, obviously we're in the right place.
Yeah.
Like there's other deer in there, and it is what it is. I mean, this evening, I sat until about 10 o'clock, and then I got down, went down, had lunch, and then went back and sat for the afternoon. And I didn't see much. It snowed and rained. I thought they were gonna come and hit that scrape again. And had a small doe and a small buck, and there was another scrape I didn't know was there. That little buck came in. So there's a ton more. There's
How
rubs.
how far was the little buck tonight?
Oh, it was like 15 yards.
Oh, dude, he's lucky. I'm surprised you didn't smash the shit out
No,
of
he was
him.
tiny, bro. He was like four corn, dude. He was tiny, tiny, dude. He was little. I didn't even think about it, dude. I didn't even pull the bow up. He was with a
That's
doe
good.
too. He was pushing a doe around actually because so the doe stepped out and she kept looking behind her, and I was like, dude, I hope he steps out. I hope he steps out. I thought, maybe that she was just about ready to go into heat, and that maybe they come from that way, and I was like, I'm hoping he's standing there, but he never showed back up. But all my stuff's still in the tree in there. I'll go back in the
Oh, you did
morning.
leave everything hanging
Yeah. Oh yeah.
back in the morning?
Yeah, I'm gonna go sit.
I like it.
I'll
I
sit the
mean, you gotta.
morning. The wind's gonna change here, so I'm gonna ride it out. The wind's gonna change about 11, so I'll ride it out until then.
What's the change?
So it's going from uh what is it, north northeast to it's going to a southeast or a
At 11?
southwest. Yeah.
Hmm.
So that's a little tough of a change.
Yeah, I would sit there and just keep watching that wind, and as once it starts to go bad, I'd sit till it goes bad.
Yeah, that was my plan. I was gonna sit until it goes bad, and then I'll get out of there. I got another spot I think I'm gonna try for the next couple of days. I haven't even been into, and I've
Hmm.
shot some good
The
deer
other
there.
thing too is you all those other bucks on camera.
Oh
They have
yeah,
they have no clue what happened there.
no,
At least two of those other bucks are shooters.
yeah, oh yeah. There's one decent heavy horn 6 pointer that's in there with no brows, super nice buck. I think he'd probably be one of the smaller ones of the ones that I would honestly take. There's one real mature. He's like a 4 or a 6 pointer, but he's a mature big body deer. He's probably over 200 pounds. He's a giant.
Hmm.
Um, Big body deer. There's a bunch of them in there, and then there's that giant heavy horned one that I thought was the one that I shot at. So there's at least three other shooter deer that are in there running around. So I'm not giving up on that spot. That spot is
Mm-mm.
definitely going to be a good spot. Now every wind that I could. I mean, I could sit it on a southeast wind, and probably potentially the deer would come from the other direction, but it's cool to me because like I didn't have anything going into the season, and now I was thinking about it today. I haven't sat in stand yet this year and not seen a deer. And it's
Mm-hmm.
funny is because we had talked about this on prior podcasts, but like when I go and I do an out of state hunt, I just hunt the sign in areas that you know where their sign is, right? And then you go in there and you bet and you're successful. And that was a plan of the season for me was, not a lot of off season scouting. And then to go into there, and I haven't had one sit without seeing a deer yet. I mean, knock on wood, but like been in them every single sit. So it's been probably one of the better seasons I've had, and tons of great deer. So can't really complain there. I'm hoping that camera comes off because there's one buck that I'm still waiting to show up. I hope after seeing the sign of him, I hope that deer. I mean, now seeing what I'm seeing in this spot, I'm super excited. Um, it'll be super good. So it is what it is, man. We'll see what it brings. But you still got a couple of days until vacation.
Dude, I'm going nuts right now, man. I got 3 more days of work, and then I'm off. But I typically don't take the first week of November off, and the reason is I find it can be so hit or miss weather-wise,
Yeah.
right? So if you get a warmer first
Oh,
week
I
of
know all
November,
about it.
which we've had a couple times in the last couple of years,
Oh yeah.
it can be painfully slow.
Mhm.
And you get into that second week. I mean, warm weather can shut it down, but it's, you get into that like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Like even when it's warm, shit's popping for the most part.
I mean,
It's
deer
still
still have to be
raining.
deer, right?
Correct. But early November, I mean, you might not see anything.
Even if
So
the only time that it's really, if it's really too hot, one times I've seen it where it's been like in the 80s, where a lot of that rutting activity happens at night.
exactly
And they're
right.
just not doing it during the day, but they're still
Right.
rutting.
Well, what happened this year, and here's why it's so with me with my vacation time, like it's kind of like a bid period, so you have to kind of put it in ahead of time. So I have to make my decision before October. But what's going on right now this year is the same thing that happened in 2019, which coincidentally is when I shot my biggest buck. I shot him on November 2nd. It rained for 3 days prior to, so what would that be like? The October 30th, 31st, and 1st. Then on the night of the 1st, the temperature dropped to like 34 degrees,
Mm.
and I killed my biggest buck the next morning, that first cold morning after 3 days of rain, which is basically what just happened, now in 2023. But there's no way to predict that in October.
Yeah, it's gonna be
So
27 degrees in the morning.
yeah, I'll be going to work. But once I get to Friday, I'll be off for a while, and I'm excited. I have quite a few trees and locations that I haven't even sat yet this year,
I
so
know.
they're waiting for me.
I'm gonna name that big buck Stevie. I hope Stevie shows up in the morning.
I hope Stevie shows up too.
It's funny. I'll show you the
Hey, you know what
footage
they
after we
say?
get off
You know
the
what they
phone. But
say? You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink.
fuck, man. It hurts, bro. And the
I
thing is,
love
like I said, man, I didn't realize how big that deer was until I sat in the stand in the afternoon and I watched it on the thing, and I was just like, bro, my stomach hit my floor. I was like, dude, I didn't realize how big the fucking deer thing was. And it is what it is. It's just.
little buck fever, maybe a little. I'll be
No,
honest with
because
you.
I didn't think it was that big, bro. So I
I'll,
can't.
I'll be I'll be honest with you. This hunting out of the saddle is definitely a different dimension. We might have talked about
Yeah.
this a little bit already. But the big thing is that camera arm that you don't think about because it's in your peripheral vision. And when you got to go over the top of it, whether you're going to hit it
Yeah.
or not, you think about it. And
Even if it
I
was
had,
lower, it would still be in my mind.
right. And I had a similar issue earlier in the season. It wasn't my weak side. It was my strong side. Now I'm aware of it. Since then, I've been finding myself hanging that camera arm a little bit lower than I was,
Yeah.
just to give myself that extra buffer room. But I tell you, man, the whole self filming's new to me. Even saddle hunting's fairly newer to me. I mean, I've been saddle hunt. This will be my third season, but
Mhm.
last year I didn't saddle hunt much at all. Um, there's many times I'm sitting in the tree and like everything's set up, for that perfect shot, like to your strong side. Oh yeah, he's gonna come down this run or he's gonna hit this scrape. Everything's good. But I mean, man, I'll be sitting there, I'll be like, what if he comes in over here? Like, what am I
Mhm.
gonna do? And
Yeah. Well,
you
that was kind of like
usually
today. I was anticipating it coming one way, and I didn't even know that there was a run coming from the other way. So it's like,
right. And that's what happens when you go into those spots fairly blind. I mean, I know you
mm,
scouted that place, but that was just like a power scout, found what you needed to find, picked a tree, left, and came back the next morning, right?
yeah,
Usually, when something happens and they come in from an unanticipated direction, the killer instinct kicks in and you just go into autopilot and you twist and turn and do whatever you need to do to get it done. But when you're sitting there when there's no deer around, like those are the things that go through my mind. Like, what am I going to do if he comes in this way? What am I going to do if he shows up
mm,
right here? But just figure it out.
it is killer's gonna kill, man. That's just the way it goes.
I think that
Figure it
tree's
out.
going to work out for you. There's too much sign. There's too many bucks in that area. You didn't really booger it up. I
No.
mean, as much as it sucks, but he don't even know what happened.
No, that deer doesn't have a clue, man. He stuck around for another 10 minutes after, just couldn't get a shot at him.
Right. Plus, plus the rut's on, dude. He's gonna turn into a zombie.
Yeah, I'm hoping, man. He's a good buck, and he's in the area, and we'll see what happens. I'll leave him alone. I'll hunt tomorrow, and then I'll leave him alone until that wind changes. I'll probably be able to hunt again on Monday, so we'll see what happens. But speaking of killers, man, you got a killer's corner over there or
I
what?
got, I got one.
Yeah,
Uh, hold on, I gotta open it. It is Jeremy Messy
yeah,
base. A couple squirrels and some pheasants.
sweet.
So
He was with Bill
hopefully,
Stratton doing some stuff.
right.
Bill's actually
Hopefully,
one of the dudes I fished with before. Um, Tuna fishing with Mike, Captain Mike. So good dudes.
hopefully the
They're
deer
local.
start dropping soon, and the killer's corner fills up. Been a little slow.
Yeah, actually, there is a couple that have been off screen, haven't been in the group. Tucker, he killed
Mm,
our good buddy Tucker. He killed a bear and a deer. And then also Ken. Ken killed another deer. A button buck
Kempy,
actually. Yeah, Kendi. Yep. He killed a button buck down in Pennsylvania. He was down
nice
visiting family again and hunting down there. The Pumpkin Man. So
pumpkin man.
yep.
And then Captain Mike too.
Yeah.
Tyler.
Huh? Oh.
Did,
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yep. Captain Mike Tyler. Yeah, he shot a great elk actually. In New Mexico. I'm hoping to have him on the podcast, honestly, because he's got a super message that I definitely want to share with everybody. And I messaged him to kind of have him come on the podcast and talk about it. But he's actually off to mule deer hunt in Colorado. So
poor guy.
yeah, yeah. Mike is salt of the earth, probably one of the best. There is. He's a captain here. He's a lobsterman, local lobsterman here, and he's killed some great animals all over the country, and guided in New Mexico and all over the West. But he goes and hunts and does a couple hunts there to Africa. His stories are phenomenal and just never really been heard. So this story about New Mexico is one that needs to be told by him because it's a
Mm.
super cool story. So. Oh, well, let's get into the sponsors, man, and let's get Chris on from Fueled from the Outdoors and also the Mobile Hunters Expo. Chris, it was fun having Chris on. We talked about some great stuff, so kind of want to get to him. So let's start it off with our title sponsor, Huntworth Gear. It's getting into that time of the year where heat boost is definitely the thing to have in the tree. The boys are all loaded up and using a ton of different combinations, and it's kind of funny to listen to it. Like today, I was in just typical base layers, my Shelton hoodie, and then I used my Elkins.
Hmm.
Huge fan of Elkins. Waiting actually on the Elkins bibs, so I'm super excited about those. But uh, and then like Seth hunted today. He didn't have his base layers on, but he was running his Elkins. But then he had on a mid-layer sweatshirt on top of it, so he kind of stacked it up a little bit different. And then you got Justin, of course. He has full heat boost from head to toe. Just absolutely, just I don't know how he does it. Because if I wore heat boost, tomorrow's gonna be 27 degrees, and I'm gonna wear heat boost, but
Mm.
I'm not. I'm probably not gonna wear it for the walk-in. Um, just for the simple fact that it's probably not a good idea being heat boosted. And one of the things in the way that this heat boost works is when you go to wear it, and it actually takes your body heat and then kind of collects it and radiates it against you, so you can get very warm very quickly. We call it getting heat boosted. So get on over to huntworthgear.com and check out their heat boost for this late season good rut stuff to kind of keep yourself warm throughout the season. Latitudeoutdoors.com. Make sure you use the promo code outdoor drive for that one and save yourself a couple of bucks. And then I believe that there still is the rope promo code, and that is rope upgrade. Make sure to use that when you are upgrading your ropes for the new 10 millimeter. Some really good ropes. We actually use them every single day. They're some of the best ropes out there,
I got a
honestly.
I got a little update from Latitude 2. Um, all shipping is now officially in house.
Yeah.
Um, if you place an order on an in stock item before 2 o'clock on a weekday, it will ship the same day.
Oh, that's
So
good to
that's good
know.
to know. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, so they're doing big things over there, and now it being all in house, so you can get all your products
Yep.
even faster. Norris to Game Calls, norrisagameCalls.com. If you guys haven't gotten over to Norris to Game Calls to get your grunt tube, the bra is on, and we know that they do work because we use them all the time. Great products, you know what I'm saying. But it is what it is. Actually, didn't it didn't work on the return, but he might not have been an aggressive buck. Because if he was, he'd probably have a hole in him. Also, Bowhunters United, bowhuntersunited.com, guys, is a free membership on over there. They are the advocates for the bow hunters to get, get the good stuff out there. They are also the ATA. So make sure to go and check those guys out, bowhuntersunited.com, and sign up for your free membership over there at bowhuntersunited.com. Sorry, guys. I'm drained. I'm tired. You can probably tell it in my voice. I'm
A little
shot.
depressed.
A
A little
little depressed.
depression.
It's setting in. I got to get up early again
Uh,
tomorrow. Like
the
it's
outdoor drive crew was a little worried this morning that you were going to use that 8 millimeter vapor line as a noose this morning and hang yourself out of the tree.
yeah.
But
Was there a lot
we
of
talked
conversation in it?
we talked you off the ledge, and you know.
Seth. I called Seth. Obviously I called everybody on the walk out, but I called Seth when I got back to the truck, and he's like, "Oh, you're alive." He goes, "You're out of the woods." He go, "Yeah." He goes, "I thought maybe you would have jumped out the tree." And at that point, I probably, I was like, "Oh, it's a good deer," but in the afternoon was when I really didn't think I wanted to come out of the woods. I just wanted to be one with the tree.
Well, I would have been able to find you. I knew where you were.
Well, let's get Chris on, man, from Fuel the Outdoors and the Mobile Hunters Expo. Real good podcast. Sit back, take a laugh. It was great having him on, man. We can't thank him enough for jumping on with us. And until next time, here's Chris. The Outdoor Drive Podcast.
All right.
I'm a Buckeye fan because they have good deer. No. All right, we're back on the phone with Chris. How we doing, Chris?
Not too bad, man. How about yourself?
Oh, just another night, another evening. I know it's closer to the rut, so it's always better, right?
Yes. Amen to that, dude.
Big deer on their feet this time of year. I mean, that's
Keep your
always
phone close by for the cell cams going off.
Oh, I'm praying, man. I got a couple scrapes that I recently hung cams on, and I've got a mega visiting one. And I'm just like, dude, you know what you should do? You should show up in daylight. That would be fun. That would be
It's
a
gonna
good
be that
experience.
time.
You're in the state of all big bucks in all reality.
Yeah. We've got some good ones here. I hear that like Michigan, Florida, and PA are also great states to target those big deer.
The three worst
wanna,
in the 50 states.
for those that want to plan an out-of-state trip.
Go there if you don't ever want to see a deer ever again. No.
Right? Yeah, that's I've heard they got great numbers. Just don't go looking for anything close to 100 inches or I mean, certain parts of PA and Michigan produce pretty good ones, but Florida's rough.
The thing with PA and Michigan is there just as many deer. There's 5 times hunters.
Dude, it's crazy. The amount of hunters. I always have this conversation with people from those states. The amount of hunters they have is crazy. But like, I don't know what PA is, but I'll give a quick comparison. So Ohio, we have somewhere around like 660,000 acres, and I want to say we have somewhere around like 200,000 to 300,000 hunters. I feel like is correct. Michigan has 600,000 hunters, but like a little over 7 million acres of public land, which is insane. Now, I think PA has a pretty good amount. I don't know if they have that much because that's a absolute crap load
Mm-hmm.
of public land. But and I apologize, my voice goes up and down, so tell me to speak up at any time. But um, yeah, Michigan's got a lot of public and a lot of public that's isolated. So we're going off on a tangent already. I'm the
It's
worst podcaster ever.
Yeah, us too. It's all good. Well, listen, let's turn the key, man, and put this thing right in four-wheel drive. Why don't you tell everybody who you are, where you're from, and a little bit about what you do?
All right. So my name's Christopher Leppert. You can probably catch me on Facebook at any time of day or night. I'm pretty active on social media, mainly Facebook, though I don't really do Instagram much. Um, I started a Facebook group, uh, honestly, because I helped start another one. And then once I helped them grow, they booted me because I had some different ideas and whatnot, standards, whatever you want to call it. So I thought, man, I'm gonna beat them at their own game. I think it took about 4 months, and I ended up surpassing them. And then our group just kept growing and growing, and then this podcast thing started happening. And I'm like, oh, here's a good idea. We should do a podcast just like everyone else.
Yep.
And same with YouTube. We started a YouTube channel, and our podcast and YouTube channel was called Fueled by the Outdoors. And we recently rebranded our YouTube to go along with the trade show that we started a few years back called the Mobile Hunters Expo. And, the Mobile Hunters Expo is one of those smaller sort of niche trade shows, if you will, where basically you can come and try and test any saddle or, sticks, hang ons, platforms, climbing steps, you name it, as well as a bunch of other cool stuff. Accessories, attachment accessories, and ropes, carabiners, you name it. And yeah, we have regional shows now, and we try to get people to come be like guest speakers. I mean, a lot of people call it a seminar, but I feel like a seminar is where somebody basically gets up and touts themselves, and that's really not what we're about. And a lot of our guest speakers are the same way. A lot of them are actually very nervous to speak because they just like to go kill deer. They're not a public speaker. And so we have guys that come be guest speakers and just kind of educate people from the region on what they're doing, how they're killing, big deer according to their region, which, the majority of those guys are actually putting down just as impressive deer as people are from the Midwest, just about. You're just not getting those, 220s or anything, but you're getting 170, 180-inch deer. I think Michael Perry from the South, Alabama, had like a 190 something. But and then, it's really honestly a lot of people that talk to each other on the internet anyway. So it's like a big deer camp for 2 or 3 days, and we just literally talk deer hunting, mobile hunting for an entire weekend, and it's a damn blast, man.
So you know what? Let's just kick this thing right off correctly. I think this is the way we should start this thing right off. I want to hear all about muzzleloader hunting with a Roman candle.
Damn you, Aaron. So I'm gonna I can't not think of this and not laugh and want to kill him. So so my good friend Aaron Satterfield, we asked this guy to join our team of admins for our Facebook group. We didn't even have a YouTube channel at the time. He said yes. Well, come to find out, this guy's like a graphic designer, a freaking gunsmith. He does all this stuff, and I have no idea. I just knew he killed bull elk and nice mule deer and whitetails, and so he does a little bit of muzz work and everything for me, cleans my gun up, polishes it up, whatever. And we go and hunt in a crazy snow. Now, here in southern Ohio, we don't get a lot of snow. And when we get a good snow, it's it's a big deal to us. And these were just big ass snowflakes, some of the biggest I've ever seen. And we hunted all evening. He stayed the night, and I asked him, I was like, "Hey, you know, gunsmith guy, you think I should unload it and clean it and just start over?" Nah, man, it'll be fine. So we go to this farm I have close to the house that's more like a patch woods. We don't even have to get in a tree. We sit up against this little box woods, and we'd been there for a few minutes. We're just sitting on the ground, and I catch movement, and like, hell, I don't know, 8 yards, there's a coyote. I'm like, oh man, you're going to die. We got a 50 cal CVA ready for him. I pulled the trigger, and it was like, and literally you saw the line of smoke go and hit the coyote like nothing happened. And the coyote just ran off with his middle finger up, basically. And Aaron is dying. And now every time we talk about muzzleloader hunting, that comes up, and we're both dying. Because just like the look on my face, I was like, you got to be kidding me, man. I'm like, good job, Mr. Expert. It was pretty awesome.
So do you trust him when it comes to your firearms?
Yeah, not muzzleloader advice. No. He pretty much knows everything except for moisture. I'm not sure he ever saw snowflakes in West Virginia. So, but yeah, he's actually he's like our guy, man. He's very, very knowledgeable. I like him a lot, and he's helped me a lot with my gun knowledge.
It's a good thing we don't turkey hunt in the snow, because he powered our turkey season last year.
Dude. Yeah, y'all shot the Saddies Fatties, that's right.
Oh yeah.
How many birds did you boys kill?
A lot.
You guys got y'all have a good turkey population up in the Northeast, don't you?
Me and Trev killed like, what was it, 8 and 12 days or something like that between the two of us.
Oh my God.
We beat them up pretty good.
How many birds can you kill?
5 apiece.
In the state of Connecticut, it's 5. But he killed in Rhode Island also. We have Massachusetts. So there's a couple different states, but Connecticut alone, we killed 6 alone between the two of us just in Connecticut, or 7.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And then
we have a 1 bird limit.
You know what? This is funny because I would love to have a 1 bird limit. Like 1 bird would be great, or 2 birds would be great, because we used to have that. 3. And then it went to 3, and then it went to 5. I mean, it's just it constantly bouncing around. And the problem with that is that now this is exactly it, Chris, where guys are saying, oh, I need to come to Connecticut because they have a really good bird population. Well, everybody and their brother has now come here, and the bird hunting isn't what it used to be before, where you have to work real hard at it. And then, mind you, we only hunt public land. So, like, a lot of the
tiny-ass state.
Mm-hmm. So a lot of it's only public. But yeah, no, Saddies, I will never shoot anything other than it, man. Like, just the way they roll up birds, I never seen nothing like it. They talk about can't stop the flop. You haven't shot Saddies.
You can stop it. You'll stop it right now. What gauge are y'all shooting?
20.
We went to 20s.
Yeah.
He made me 12 our first year testing them out, just dicking around. And I was like all excited because I thought, I can basically rifle hunt birds now. And all my birds came in sub 20 yards. I'm like, well, what? Man, we're wasting like double the pellets. This is stupid. Let's do a 20 gauge. I'll go get a single shot 20. And I actually, screwed that up. I went and bought a 410.
Yeah.
And I killed my birds with a 410. Then I was like, a 410's nice, but it is a little on the lighter side. If you do need to, you're on an out-of-state trip and you're like me and you want to bring a damn bird home and he wants to be a little douchebag and hang up at 70 or more, you can shoot him. And buddy, I have done that a lot.
I was the same exact way, man. When you travel hunt, it is what it is. Like in the state of Connecticut, you can't shoot a 410 here, so that's why we shoot 20s. Like I would shoot a 410.
Oh wow!
But like we shoot 20s. I shoot a 20 over and under, which you still have two shots instead of having the single shot. So like a lot of the times, if I have a bird and and I just switch, I just select the bottom barrel. I got a 5.55 Indian Creek in it. Lights
Oh,
out. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
that's
it's
lights
game
out.
over. 70, 65, 70 yards, and guys are like, why you shoot that far? Well, if you have something that is effective that far, why wouldn't you?
Right.
Like,
Yeah, and there's a lot of people. This is the same with bow hunters, and it pisses me off. And they're like, "Oh, bow hunting's about getting close." For you,
mm,
I'm hunting bow season not because I'm Mr. Bow Snob. I'm out here because I can't hunt with a gun. I just want to go deer hunting.
mhm,
And despite this belief that some of these people have where all turkeys come into 12 yards strutting and gobbling and they lay on their back and let you do whatever. That's not how it works.
mm,
I was in Indiana with a guy I respect a lot, Jacob Emery, and I mean, I've got a guy calling for me, and that bird wasn't going anywhere. He wasn't coming up, he wasn't coming down. We called from below him, from above him, and on the same damn bench as him, and he never came. And so we both, I mean, we're both, we're turkey guys. So we both came to the consensus like, well, he's here and he's smart. He's not going to go to her. She better come to him or he ain't going. So he was like, well, let's creep up there, try to call to him. And if he doesn't come up, you can just sneak over the lip and shoot his ass. That's what we did. And when I saw him, I knew he was far, but is like almost 90 yards. And I made him do a cartwheel and dot like with a
mhm.
20 gauge. I'm like,
Whew.
I could have never shot that bird. Now, because of where we were at, I didn't realize, he kept bragging about, how decent the spot was and everything. And I'm like, yeah, okay, everybody says this and real life happens. Shit, dude, we shot my bird and then we heard some more. So we run over there. We called in 5 gobblers and he shot one of them. Like, so it was a hell of a day. We ended up, me, him, and 2 other guys were tagged out before noon. And it was incredible. A freaking quadruple before noon. And one guy left. So we just had 3 of us for the pick. But I mean, it was slick. But anyway, I'm out of state. And that's the day that I had to hunt Indiana was opening day. And then I didn't have a day for a
Mhm.
while. So, I like coming home with a bird for those that oftentimes it's guys who, don't have a wife or kids or
Mhm.
something that don't really get it, or guys that aren't, trying to grind it out. And it's like, dude, when I pay, X for a tag and my wife watches the kids or somebody watches the kids and you line all that up, then you come home without anything, you don't get the best looks. People aren't smiling. So it's like, hey, we're eating turkey now, and this was productive. So, plus I had a good time.
And that's what it's all about, because you go in that out of state hunt to be able to take home whatever it is to punch that tag. Like if you have a minimum amount of time, like going to another state deer hunting, whatever it is, you're gonna do
Yeah.
whatever it is to make it happen. Like
Yep.
I'm sorry, but like I would love them in my face doing the dance at 12 yards. We
Oh,
all would. Like that's life.
absolutely.
But if you can have an effectiveness up to 70, 80, 90, 100 yards, why wouldn't you? Like you're going to
Right.
make it happen. I'm here to make it happen. I'm an opportunist. I'm not
Right.
I'm a hunter, but I'm an opportunist. Like I'm going to take the
Right.
opportunity where it lies.
I'm in bow season because it's bow season and
Mm,
not gun season. I've got bow hunting buddies that are all about, bow only, that kill deer over 100 yards with a bow. They're very, very good with a bow. Them shooting at 100 is like a lot of guys shooting at 30 and 40. Like
mhm.
they're very, very good. But if they waited until that deer was sub 40 yards, they'd never kill one
Right.
because that's just not how it works where they're hunting and everything. So, you want to be successful, or do you want to brag about how you didn't shoot something? Because I'd rather take a picture and then go have a meal, have an experience and a memory, not, well, we didn't get one again. Sorry, guys.
Well, that's the craziness about the whole entire thing, right? So like if you're out west and those guys are shooting mule deer 80, 90, 100, 110, 120 yards. But then
Yeah.
for some reason, as you gradually come east, it's not accepted to shoot them
Yep.
over 40 yards. I
Yep.
don't get it. I just don't get it. If you are expert in your class and what you are doing and you can be effective, what does it matter? Like, just
Right.
because somebody
And
told you online?
and you see guys with, guns, bows, crossbows, anything, trad bows, they're wounding them at 10, 15, 20,
Mhm.
25. Like shit goes wrong close too. You know how many people don't know to use a 40 or 50 yard pin with a 4 or 5 yard shot? Like the amount of people that don't understand third axis adjustments on a sight or bending at the waist. I mean, there's 1,000 things that go wrong all the time. Torquing a bow, staying in your peep. Like they screw that up and then they hit a shoulder or whatever. And it's like, oh, well, that's okay. But if you wound one at 80 because the animal took a half a step or, move, flinch, whatever, well, now you're going to hell, you know?
They do that at 20 and 30. I shot a doe
they
last
yeah.
night that jumped and I shot her in the throat. Like, it wasn't my fault.
Holy cow.
And it
Did you
was,
recover her?
yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean,
Nice.
Oh yeah,
thing went-
flopped like a bluefish.
Amazing meat yield too, huh?
yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, like, it just, but it's lucky. It was 32 yards. And it was wide
Yeah.
open, took the shot, and she just happened to be on edge, and she went to turn. When she turned, I hit her right dead center in the throat. It wasn't, what am I going to do? You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I
Yeah.
shoot, but it is
Right.
what it is. There's nothing you
Yep.
can do for that. I mean, like,
Shit happens.
that happens at 80, 100. It doesn't matter. Like,
Yep.
it's just luck of the draw, but then people get belittled because of it.
Generally, what I find, the people that always have something to say are the people that are very rarely outdoing what you're doing. And if they are trying to do what you're doing, they're not trying very hard and definitely not on your level. We used to run into this all the time. I shot competition in the IBO, and the guys who were accusing you of cheating and all that, they were the worst dudes. If you shot with them, they were horrendous. They
Mm-hmm.
were terrible. You could tell that they were basically like the best in their town, and nobody had the balls to be like, hey, you know what? You should do this. While the top probably 5 to 7 guys, they're all looking to each other for advice
Mm-hmm.
constantly. Hey, man, how's my grip? How's my form? How's this? How's my time? Whatever. And that's why the majority of those guys would make the cut and the other guys would just gripe and complain.
Well, you probably see it Facebook groups, whatever, like guys that are like, I know it's crazy because like I was in the forum world and then I went to, then Facebook started and I was like, I cannot be part of this. I need to just be
Oh,
on a podcast because I cannot state my opinion online because it gets so bad, right? But like the thing is, like, the guys that have something to say, like when I'll post up that, say I post up that doe and somebody goes to say something, you go and you look through that guy's page and that guy hasn't killed a deer in like 7 years.
yeah. He's posting spikes and all that, which there's no
No.
big deal with killing a spike, but like if you're going to act like a badass, please be a badass,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So, yeah, dude, sometimes people can really kill it for you. It really takes some thick skin nowadays because you guys doing the podcast, us doing what we're doing, you're constantly available to people, exposing what you're doing to
Mm-hmm.
people. And dude, they want to rip it up, you know? It kills me.
And there's a lot of haters that come along with it, and it's just like, okay, it is what it is. Like, guys, I would have, and you probably have too, where guys are like, well, why does he deserve to have a podcast? Well, it's not that I deserve it, man. It's just something I want to put out, the information that I want to put out, and the people like meeting you, Chris, and the other people that you get to meet. Like, I want to better myself throughout the industry and surround myself more around the things that I love. Like, it's not that I'm better than somebody. I've never portrayed that. I'm here to help the newer people because I foresee and saw what has been coming of those new people as they come up and they ask a question online or whatever they can, where I want to give them the advice that they need, or if they want to reach out to have a conversation, I'm willing to have a conversation. And if I feel as if I can't give you that information, I'm going to pass you on to somebody that I know, that I've met, or whatever. Like someone says, I'm coming out of state, I'm coming to Ohio. Hey, Chris, my buddy's coming out to Ohio, man. Can you just kind of point him in the right direction? He doesn't know what to, you know what I'm saying? Like something in that
Right.
case, because you can't get through on some of these social media platforms because the people just belittle guys, and it's just
You
not fair.
ask questions and you get shredded.
Mm-hmm.
And so here's the question that I think it's probably the one question that irks me. Hey, I'm going to Ohio, Iowa, blah blah. I
Mm-hmm.
don't want your spots. Tell me what WMA to get. It's like, dude, you're headed to a premier state. We have big deer on every single WMA, but there, it's Ohio,
Mm-hmm.
it's Iowa, Kansas. It ain't Toys R Us. You're not going to come pick one off a tree. They're still mature deer. Yes, you might get lucky and kill one of the big, stupid ass 3-year-olds early November or something that's,
Mm-hmm.
140 to 165 inches because the genetics are crazy, but it's still a 3-year-old buck. To me, I don't view that any more than 110, Connecticut 3-year-old or
Mm-hmm.
so, you know what I mean? Like to me, they're the same deer. You don't look any more it's still a 3-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
So I want that. I just want to help people ask the right questions, like, what are the deer eating? It's like asking, where do I fish? No, how deep are the crappie?
Right.
Or, what are they hitting on maybe? And that's, I know fishing, that can kind of be a personal, question even, but like, help me help you. Like I can't go out and sweat and spend my time away from family, spend hundreds or
Mm-hmm.
in my case thousands in gas, hours and driving, miles and miles and all that. Trail cams, batteries, SD cards, you name it, and then be like, oh, here you go. You asked online, here you go. So that's probably the only question, but I'm never a douchebag to them either. I'm like, hey, rather than ask that, because no one in their right mind is going to go spend that kind of money and time and then just give it away to some dude they've never even met before. Anybody worth their salt who has a spot figured out is probably not going to give that away for free, because that's technically like dating a girl and then being like, oh, well, here, dude, I don't know. Just sleep with her. I'll just put up with her bullshit. You know what I mean? Like that's not going to happen.
No,
Sorry, you can edit that out if you want.
no, no,
But
no
that's
editing.
what I relate it to when
Yeah.
people ask me where I'm hunting.
That's
I'm like,
actually gonna be a reel.
Yeah.
But
do you want my wife's number and a list of her turn-ons? Like, come on, dude, you're
Yeah.
crazy. So I always tell them like, hey, ask what feed trees people are
Mm-hmm.
seeing dropping, and what's the rutting activity like? What are your tactics? Are you finding them bedded low, bedded high, yada yada yada? Like, don't ask where somebody's hunting, because that's
Yeah.
personal.
What's your prevalent wins? What's, you know
Right.
what I'm
Exactly.
saying? Like those are those
Yeah.
things that, like when I was there, I traveled there last year, and one of the things, like, I had reached out to some people that were kind of in our circle, that are from there, and I was like, hey, listen,
Mhm.
dude, this is what I'm running into. There's a drought this year. Things are tough. Like, hey, I'm in this area. I just wanted to know what you are seeing more prevalently with this wind that's going
Yeah.
on. And somebody said, you have to be in the bottoms. All the deer are bedding on top and they're coming down into the bottoms. And then I go, okay, now this is the question. Now that I'm in the bottom and the thermals, well, how
Oh,
do you
dude.
do X, Y, and Z? You know what I'm saying? So, like, you have to kind of try and there's a puzzle to it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you
Yes.
can't come into it and never have shot on a mature or chased a mature deer, then to want to chase a mature deer and not have a clue of how to do half
Right.
of X, Y,
Like,
and Z.
I think a lot of people think that deer just walk around kind of stupid in November and everything. And man, when some of these guys that do end up lucking up and killing some of the big deer that, maybe traveled out of state or don't scout much or whatever, which again, I want to be clear, I'm not knocking anybody because I'll be lucky over good any day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like a memory is a memory and it doesn't matter. But the the guys who are getting lucky, like the odds of you catching a deer in Ohio that let's say is 5 year old 5 years old, whether he's 100 and, well, I should state this better actually. Let's say a 5 year old deer with a good looking rack that's 145 150 plus. I say good looking meaning not broken up, because every 3 4 5 6 year old deer that's a broken ass 125 inch, he's broken up, he's got splits in his ears, he'll come into rattling and grunts because he wants to beat the shit out of everything. But that dude that's 160 inch, 10 pointer with perfect rack that isn't chipped in any way, he's like, I just really want to go get with her. Like, I don't care about you grunting at me or
Mm-hmm.
rattling. And I've rattled hundreds of thousands of times. I think I've rattled in one, maybe two. The other one I couldn't confirm, but maybe two mature bucks since 1999. So it now in Kansas and Iowa, I hear it's a completely different experience. It's just like I can't explain that. But so I say all that to say that, when you come here and you're looking to kill a mature deer, you really got to be on your game. Like, it's not something where you just go pick a 150 off the 150 tree just because Ohio or Iowa, they're still smart in
Mm-hmm.
Iowa and Kansas and Illinois and Missouri and Indiana. Like, you can get your ass whipped in any state real quick. We did the expo here last year, and that was part of the lure, I think, for people, because I think the average drive time was like 4 or 5 hours for people, and everybody wanted to come scout our public. And at first I was like, "Oh my god, what have I done?" I've just brought a crap load of people, crap load of pressure during the worst year I could have done that. We had a drought, we had EHD absolutely destroy the southern half of the state from Columbus down. And now we've got all this pressure. I didn't see a single person from the expo post a mature deer. I only saw one single person from the expo post a deer at all. It was like a probably 110, 115 inch eight, I think. Was good buck. They were Florida boys, so they were jacked out of their mind. They don't get to see that, but it just, I think there's this weird thought that people are going to come here and kill big deer, and it's like, man, they're tough. You might, our 2 year olds and 3 year olds look a lot nicer than a lot of people's, but it's still a 2 or 3 year old deer.
And getting that mature deer to do what you want it to do, it's still you're still hunting a mature deer. It doesn't matter what state you're in. Like, hunting a mature deer still has the attributes of a mature deer. Like, it
Oh
doesn't
yeah,
matter. Like, people think that just because they're in Pike County, Illinois, that they're gonna shoot a 190. Well, guess what, bud? Like, let me let you know, they still hunt the winds. They still are doing what big deer do,
yes,
man. It doesn't matter just because. I mean, you put yourself in the right predicament. You know what I'm saying? Like, where you
oh
can
yeah,
shoot those deer. And there's a lot of people, and it's not to break down on somebody, but like, there's a ton of people, and there's a ton of people that are hunters, right? And I just classify this as one thing where they've shot that one big deer, right? And that's the forever
yeah,
story in deer camp. Oh my god, this one deer like, you start to get impressed when that person goes from state to state to state and killing mature deer. I'm not
yeah,
talking big deer. I'm talking mature
right.
deer, because
Yep,
hunting mature deer is totally different than hunting deer in
yep.
general.
It's way different, and something that took it really was a rough lesson for me. I had a conversation with a few different guys because I come from private land originally,
Hmm.
and I used to pass deer that would wow the shit out of people, and not 170s or anything like that,
Hmm.
but like, I passed a 3 year old that would go low 50s because I knew he was three. He was a little idiot running around constantly. So I thought, you might be my 200-inch ticket. That deer changed farms on me and ended up like 194. He got shot by another guy. He was a mainframe 12 with tine length, good beams. He was going to be a good deer. Had a deer in 20, what would have been? It would have been early 2022. I was doing a saddle review for custom gear modifications. I thought I should go shoot a doe and make that a part of my review. That'll be cool. Most people aren't doing that. Okay. Dude, it's like 65 degrees and This is January. No, sorry. This is February 1st, and it's 65 degrees. Think about that for a second for my friends here in the Northeast. And I look behind me. It's windy as hell. We got a south wind, southwest wind. I look behind me, and this monster 3-year-old's coming in. It's like a 145-inch clean 10. And I thought, God, man, look at his beams and force. Like he's gonna look gorgeous next year. All three of my friends, I didn't get him on the ground. He got killed by the neighbor. He had to push 80. Like if that deer wasn't hot 177, 178, I don't know what he was then, because he was a big wide, and I'll send you a video of him when we're done. Um, he was a big wide 10 with like a 4-inch kicker off his base. So like that's what I'm saying. Like those deer are stupid. I had an encounter 4 or 5 days later with that same deer in February, way outside of the rut. So it's when you start killing mature deer, even if you just do it in your own state, that's still, to me, that's impressive. If you can consistently kill mature deer, confirm, we can all look at the deer and pretty much say,
That's
that,
a 3.5-year-old.
just because he's gray in the face doesn't make him 19 years old. Like he doesn't have those teeth because he's a yearling, bro. Like calm down. You didn't kill an old warrior. But you can look at them and tell most of them that are mature, they look like a damn donkey, like a freaking Brahma bull, big ass saggy neck and brisket and big droopy ears and everything. But the big Roman nose, bull muzzle. So it's tough killing mature deer, and guys give each other shit. THP catches a lot of shit for the deer they kill, and I'm like, do you know how hard it is to kill a Popin young deer out of state, in any state? Now if you go in the rut, you could probably put yourself in position to kill a Popin young deer in some of these Midwestern states. But I can tell you, I've been to those Midwestern states, and I've had a chance in Kentucky. I have not had a chance 2 years and 3 trips to Nebraska. I have hunted Indiana, and I had a chance, but I mean that could have been luck. That could have been lucky as hell, because that was my first sit, and it was the first week in November. I went a bunch of times after that, including gun season. Never saw anything that would hit 100. So it's difficult, man. So if you're out there killing, I always tell people, if you set your sights on 125 inches out of state, you kill those, you're doing pretty damn good, in my opinion. Mature or not, honestly. But if you're killing mature deer year after year, especially in other states you don't live in, hats off to you.
Well, it's not easy. I mean,
No.
I mean, 125 is the number for a reason, because it's not very achievable. That's the thing. And
Yep.
there's, like we say it all the time, like if you can even consistently shoot in your home state a 130 or better every single year, you are doing something. You have now figured it out. The light bulb in your head has gone off, and you have now figured out how to kill those deer. Like it's not it's not easy. It's not an easy thing, and especially when you start getting in inches. But then you start talking about the chewed down, donkeys. Now we're talking real deal, because like that's not an easy thing. You can do that consistently in your home state and then try and do it in another state. Like that's a hunter to me, and especially on public. Like now, if you get away from the private aspect and you're in leasing ground, and then you start doing it on public land, forget it. Lights out, man. Like that's hats off to you. You need a cookie and an award.
Public land so it's really funny, because I feel like public land that you can scout decently often is actually a little more advantageous more often than not than private, just because you're going to have pressure no matter where you are, because of surrounding farms, unless you got these giant tracks, right? Which most of us don't. So when that guy goes out on private land that borders yours, where the bucks are all bedding in that woodlot, and starts trimming his quad trail, hanging stands and trimming lanes and all that, it's like, well, there just went my entire summer of work. And I'm speaking from experience there. This is what actually drove me to public land, because I heard of these guys hunting down deer, and I'm like, bullshit. Are you, this dude's hunting like, with an outfitter and just saying this, right? No, you get together with these guys and learn, which is, kind of part of the inspiration behind some of these guys at the expo, right? You start talking to them, and all of a sudden, after years, you don't do it the first year. For anybody that thinks they're just going to go be this amazing hunter, after their first year, in their first year, man, good luck. Because it's so tough. It's tough when you're really, really, really experienced at it. So after shit, I don't know what are we in 2023. So after 6 years, I feel like finally last year was the first year where I felt like I was a decent hunter. And this year, if I wasn't an idiot and missed my one of my targets early, I'd feel a little better. But then I wouldn't be on the deer that I'm currently hunting right now, which is like a once in a lifetime animal. So I'm like, depressed, super excited. So I don't know. I really don't know how to feel. But yeah, and that's the other thing. That was a point I was actually in the middle of making, and I got sidetracked. Is not every deer is going to make 140, 150. Even here, the things that have to happen for a deer to hit 150 inches, which, being in Ohio, everybody that comes out of state and sees a 130-inch deer, they're like, oh, 150. And I'm like, well, how big were his beams? What were his brows like? Oh, I don't know. Well, how the hell do you know it's a 150? Just say it was a big deer. It got me excited. A 150 is a big damn deer. Like a 135-inch deer is a big deer. I've seen some really big 135-inch eights, nines, and the majority of the deer that I had on camera this summer are 136, 138, 130. Like they're not even hitting 140. A couple of the top deer are in the 40s, might hit 50, and that's it. So the genetics that have to take place, the amount of stress that they have to not get in that previous season and during the recovery stage when they start growing that year's rack, the mineral in the soil, like there's so many things, the food, everything has to line up. And then like when you have a year where you have EHD that stresses the shit out of the deer herd, I mean, you're not only having smaller racks, you're not finding rubs in the woods like you used to because the testosterone levels are so low. Like there's just so many things that it takes to get a deer to 150, even 140. People's expectations are through the roof. And now you're on public land where deer just get slaughtered left and right because we've all been on that trip where we haven't seen anything for a hot minute and they're like, man, don't be anything in front of me today because I'm ready to shoot, man. So, it's tough.
And you get into those Midwest states, one of the things with that too on public land, like I feel as if like every deer is like totally like over time has now figured out that hunters are in trees. So they have like this like sixth sense like a cat, and they for some reason I don't know what it is, you can tell like the first time that I stepped on public land in the Midwest, the first sit I had a beautiful buck, probably 130, 140s, come in on this scrape. I just read the script. Like everything that you read, listen to a podcast, watch on YouTube, you're like, oh, it's going to happen, right? And
What
it did.
dreams are made of.
Literally, like dreams are made of. And it starts coming down this scrape line and starts coming down. He's coming right for me. Had just been raining, and that deer comes in, and I'm like, say 23 to 25 feet in the air. I go grab my bow. My bow comes right off the hanger. This thing snaps its head up right at me, and I was like, what in the world just happened? Like, you're like, I'm hunting mature deer in a place that is way overhunted. I'm like, I need to get out of here. This is not going to work in my favor.
Dude, it's so funny because doing this expo thing, I talk to guys from like Michigan and the South, and they're like, you're in Ohio. You don't know pressure. I'm like, where you think the guys from your state go to deer hunting late October and into November, buddy, and gun season. I said, if you're on a really big tract of private or even an okay parcel, right? Like there's pressure, but it's not like the public. The public gets beat. And a lot of the guys that I consider like the killers that come here, they still can't get over it. They're like, dude, you go through the parking lots like PA, West Virginia, Michigan, New York. I mean, and they travel forever, and it's an over the counter tag. I think the last time I checked, it was like
230.
250 to
Yeah.
275 bucks. Iowa is 600 something,
Hmm.
and you got to buy points and draw it. Kansas is 500, and you got to buy points and draw it. Illinois is 500 and something. It's over the counter. Thank God. I'm going to hunt there one day. But like, I mean, all these other premier states that I want to say they all align with a similar gun season anyway. I think. I don't know that Kansas does, but we have a really late gun season, which is what gets a lot of our deer to age here. That and a $1 limit. Now it doesn't hurt us that we also have, below Columbus, Dayton area. I probably shouldn't say this shit on a podcast, but I feel like I'm spot burning already, running myself out of my own house. But we have mild winters, which I think you travel up
Hmm.
north, like your guys' deer's bodies probably dwarf ours
No,
because
you
ours
guys
don't
have
have to
bigger.
make it.
You guys have bigger body deer than we do because I think it's the corn fed aspect of it. Like you guys have big bodied deer. We also have big bodied deer, but it's to survive the winter. You guys have it
Right.
because of the feed and stuff. It's like you guys have like longer like torso
Longer
type
deer.
deer.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
and they're a
Okay.
lot bulkier. Where ours are real tall and bulky. Do you know
You
what
got to
I'm
be able to
saying?
walk
Like
through the snow.
dude, when I northern Maine, like the first time I ever seen a deer up there, I thought it was a straight giraffe. You know what I'm saying? And then when I shot a deer in Ohio, I'm like, what is that thing? That thing's a fucking elephant. Like
Stubby
it's just
leg
like
little
yeah,
bastard.
it's like really crazy. Do you know something that's crazy? This and you can might be able to agree to this. Midwest deer, well, to northern deer to western deer. Do you ever notice something about their ears?
So I would I would have to say that as you get further west, they get bigger, in
Correct.
my opinion. They are, and I mean, I know we're all thinking mule deer too, but dude, some of the whitetails I've seen in Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, dude, they're huge. The ears are gigantic, and that maybe it is that some of them that I've seen are like some bloodline that's bred with a mule deer one day, maybe. I don't know. And I can't attest to the deer that are where you guys are because I don't have very much
Hmm.
time east of Ohio hunting and paying attention to deer. But I would have to say that they get bigger as you go
So
out
it's
there.
funny. So like northeast, the ears are really big. You start to go south, they start to get smaller, and as you start to go like Midwest, they get really small, and then they get really big as they start to go west. Because I feel as if the deer like up north have to hear a ton, like they can't see, like their vision is like a lot less, and then as you start to get to the Midwest, they can see a lot farther, so they don't have to hear as much. It's kind of
Yeah.
crazy, and the only reason I know is taxidermy, because like you would like
Okay.
I look at them, see them, and I'd be like, well, that thing doesn't look right. And like the first time I ever seen a Midwest deer, I'm like, what the right? Like
Right.
it just looks weird. But I don't know. I mean, that's just my personal opinion. But anyways, back to the body sizes. You guys have very chunky deer, and I think it's just because of the feed or whatever. Because we don't have the agriculture that you guys have.
Yeah. Not a lot of ag up your way, huh?
No, it's all mountains. They eat a
Okay.
lot of browse, a lot of like pine browse and acorns and stuff like
Acorns and
that.
stuff.
And then we don't
Okay.
have like soy like you guys have.
Low A hay fields is the best ag we get. Maybe a little bit of cow corn.
That sounds a lot like the southern portion of Missouri I scouted this year. I mean I poured through Spartan Forge for not hours. I spent like probably 6 weeks. ID scout probably I mean a small day would be like 3 hours, and that's like, in the bathroom, laying in bed, whatever. But I just pour through maps searching for any ag, and I just couldn't find any. Now, once you got up to the northern half, it's everywhere, but I didn't want to be up there. I wanted to be down in the Ozarks. I found this. I found a food plot, and it's like I don't know that it's any better than hay. It's just something green, and I drove 8 hours through the night to verify what it was, and I don't know, but I know that there were trails coming out of that hub all over the place going into that food plot. It was so cool because there was this little like couple of trees. I was like, I know somebody's got a ladder stand there. And then I've got a video zooming in. I'm like, there's the ladder stand. Freaking picked your ass out from 8 hours away. Like you can just tell when the private land guy who's got the gorgeous plot with the lake and everything. And I'm like, this could be a good spot, but I don't know that I'll have time to get there this year. But I should have a whole year's worth of intel with the cameras I set. So next year could be fun.
That's awesome.
It was depressing, man. I searched for weeks and finally I found something that wasn't just weeds, which, with the things I've been learning now about whitetails, I'm targeting native browse
Mm-hmm.
100%. Like I want nothing to do with beans. The places I have now, I watch deer circumnavigate the beans. The bigger deer,
Hmm.
they circumnavigate the bean field to get to the freaking weeds, the stuff we call weeds, and they're just munching the shit out of it. It's
What is that? Is
crazy.
that because of the high pressure in those areas because of the beans, or is it just because that's their natural food that they
The,
want to be in?
the bean field is no hunting. Nobody allows hunting there.
Ah.
But so first up, not to sound like like a Bible thumper or whatever, but I believe that they're drawn to what God intended them to eat, and I don't believe beans were that. I also think that there's only a small portion of the year where that bean supplies really good nutrients. And keeping in mind too, we're not just talking about like nutrients, the proteins and everything they get out of the plant, but the water that they get out of these plants. Now, that becomes a lot more important in other areas where it's hotter, drier, whatever. But I think it's like 70 or 80% of a deer's water comes from their browse. That's why they're drawn to
Mm-hmm.
the green. It's not just the taste or smell or the nutrition. It's that's where they get their water. That's why it's really actually kind of tough here east of the Mississippi to kill a deer off water that hasn't been chasing all day on a 70-degree day or something. You know what I mean? Like people think when it turns 80 out that they're just going to go sit on a water hole, and it's like doesn't really work like that. They don't need. It's like a damn camel. Like they actually don't need that water as bad as I thought for most of my life. Now you start getting into a drought or something, that can change because there's less moisture in the plants. But yeah, I'm finding from talking to some people that um, they're actually getting better nutrition from what we call weeds, and they're getting their water still, and then when you look at those fields with a native browse, well, that also provides amazing bedding. And now what you brought up, they don't get pressured like a bean field does, so that does play into it. And what's in a weed field generally, saplings, shitty trees. You're basically reduced to sitting on the ground or spot and stalk, or every once in a while you'll get lucky and find a tree, but we all know more often than not the tree is not where you need it to be, or it's covered in thorns or whatever. So I mean that is absolutely part of it because I'm finding it on public, and you find those deer in those CRP or ESG, early successional growth fields. Clear, it's nothing more than a clear cut is all it is. I mean, but not all of them are clear cuts. So pretty crazy.
That's nuts. And you don't hear people talk about that. Like that's like a not known
Nah,
thing. Like guys don't really.
I probably shouldn't, but it's just one of those things where it's near and dear to me because I would like to see. So we actually have some guys signed up to be guest speakers, Alan Summerford and Kyle Leibarger, and they're with the Native Habitat Project. And it sounds like there's an agenda somewhere there. The agenda is just to educate people and get people to do things what we believe is the right way, which is to burn. Fires are important for those who love turkeys. Fires are so important because they provide those grasses, good grasses and everything, which provides seeds for the turkeys, provides bugs for the turkeys, cover for the poults and the hens, like, and that's the same way with fawns and does, and you need all that. You can't just have a bunch of damn honeysuckle here in Ohio. It's terrible. What you're seeing, 'cause basically these invasives are taking over. You've got honeysuckle everywhere. It's great for deer, only deer. It doesn't really benefit anything else. And a native field's way better for deer. They still get cover, they get the food and everything else. So um, it, we're pretty excited to bring that type of education to people this year. That's actually my favorite part of the expo that I've dreamed up so far, because it's just so like I don't know, like holistic or whatever. Like it's natural.
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't have to. Nobody's selling anything. You can go pick your own damn seeds out of a field somewhere. It'd take you a million years, but like you can start a lot of that stuff and then it'll just regenerate. And there's so many programs for people where the government will pay you to grow that stuff and then leave it alone and not cut it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the other thing that like irks the shit out of me. Everybody wants to cut everything down and mow it, and I'm like, no, stop. No, that's where all the babies are. That's where everything's hiding, man. Like you used to be when you went out west. I don't know if you guys have gotten to go out there, but when you went out to Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, dude, there were ditches filled with weeds and just tall growth everywhere, and now everybody's cutting and mowing everything down. And well, why aren't there any turkeys? Where's the pheasant and the quail? And well, they can't reproduce, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
Like they need a place to lay their eggs and be safe.
That's what happened here with our grouse. Our grouse are like that. We used to have a
Oh, the
sustainable grouse
grouse.
population, and then they started messing around with things, and they're like, why don't we have grouse? Because we don't have tree cover. We don't have, you guys are taking down the mature forests, and like they don't understand how this works. Like
Yep,
these are the things that you need, just like turkey. Like where they've now have turkey, special forests that are for turkey with the
that's so
NWTF.
awesome.
Because we need those things, because now they're like, where's the turkey population? Well, other than you giving away 5 tags in the spring, the turkeys are gone because you didn't do right habitat improvement. Like that's just the way
Right?
that this goes. Like,
Can you bait up there for deer?
so there is some zones that we can bait. Yes. So our
Okay,
our southern zone you can along the shoreline where it's overpopulated in a lot of the urban areas. But
okay, yeah.
yeah.
Here we're a bait state, and I hate it.
Okay.
I used to be like the corn king. People in our group actually used to call me the master baiter. Literally, I would have giant yellow brick roads going down logging trails, and I'd put out like 2,000 pounds of corn, and then I got in the public land game, and then I was like, well, corn piles are pretty stupid because you know what I used to get? A lot of nighttime picks.
Mm-hmm.
I'd get some giants at night. Little idiots would never daylight. And so then I started finding dropping oaks and stuff. And I'm like, and my favorite scrapes. And now I get daylight pictures every day of the deer, other than this damn deer that I'm on. But um, the corn, many believe that the corn molds up and hurts the poults. The poults can't handle it. So, and when you look at the states having like the really bad problems, they're bait states. Their turkey
Huh.
population just dips. They're bait states. You look at the states that have a one bird limit and don't allow baiting for deer, which I don't think most allow it for turkey at all. But a
Just
bait
Florida.
state, uh, do they really?
Yeah, Osceolas,
Oh,
that's a bait state, bud. They shoot everything off of a feeder. Oh yeah.
oh, damn.
Yeah, so
Oh
you
man,
can't be within a hundred yards of a feeder, but you could. So they bait.
they'll kill them
it's
on the
screwed.
way
Yeah,
to the feeder.
it's exactly what they do. They put all the hens there, and then they call they call the toms off for the bait, and then they
Jeez,
kill them right
Louise.
there. But yeah, anyway, sorry. So yeah,
No, you're fine.
one
Yeah, the
one bird
one
space.
bird state and no baiting, and like it's amazing turkey hunting. So I don't know, man. It'd be nice to see things go back to we're very conservation minded, driven people, and we want to see, just people doing right by nature and really by themselves. I mean, it's a
Mm-hmm.
better hunting experience. It really is. You have a lot better chance going to public land and knowing what feed trees are native browse or whatever, hard mass, soft mass, when you can identify all that and go find it and set up on it. That's, I mean, I know what it's like being a corn pile guy going to
Mm-hmm.
public land. I got embarrassed. It was a joke. I didn't know anything. I thought I did because I killed these big deer, and I only killed one big deer off a corn pile, to be clear. But I got a head on me there for a while, and then I started on public land, and we humbled down real quick. And now I feel like you're more connected to the animal doing this. When you learn everything about what that animal's doing, what it's eating, how it's bedding, and everything, there's such a connection there to the earth and the deer that like I don't mean to be like a little girl or anything, but like I get teary eyed when my family sits down at a table and everybody's just so excited to eat a deer that I killed, and then I think about like all the hundreds of hours of scouting, and like I think I'm closing in on 200 miles of scouting this year, which is I'm 5'9", I'm not 6'5" with long lanky legs. What it takes me to get that far is nothing short of a miracle. All the driving and the practicing and just everything that you go through, and then you get the deer and you got to get it out and butcher it and do everything and cook it, and your family is just like sitting around just excited as hell that they're eating deer meat. And then I don't know how you guys are. I'm pretty in tune with myself here. And when I eat deer meat, it's almost like drinking espresso or something for me. Like I feel that stuff hit me differently than a
Mm-hmm.
beef, pork, chicken, anything. It's just different. I think it's just like super nutrient dense. And I mean, I've never tried it, but I'd imagine it's probably pretty close to like doing a small bump of Coke or something. Like it is. I am jacked out of my mind after I have deer steak and eggs.
It's
Yeah, is this a rated R
yeah,
podcast? I'm
yeah,
really
yeah. You're
sorry.
good. No, you're fine.
Please.
Yeah, yeah. Have you ever talked to me, Chris?
We're
You're so right with that, because the thing nowadays is that the meat is just like so injected with a bunch of crap and hormones
oh
and like all the junk. Like we live on this stuff. This is the stuff we have, natural stuff. Other than like, all right, so this is where it kind of gets wild to me. You have the deer that like we shoot in the big woods, right? Or not really near houses or public or whatever. But like, could you imagine, does that stuff transfer into the deer in these urban areas when they're eating rhododendron bushes that have been sprayed with pesticides? I mean,
oh
what
dude.
really is the difference in the shit that we're getting out of some of these beef and pork places that are injected with crap? But like, what is really the, like, they don't break
Oh
that
sure.
stuff down, like, so like, is it really good to be shooting urban deer?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I know that, so I'm firmly going to agree with you on that aspect, and the aspect of like, what they're putting into the beef and the
Ugh.
chicken and all that. I will, so again, I'll go back to like I sound like I'm like some kind of Native American and I'm like a German mutt, but basically I think there's something to be said. This is going to sound so weird, but when an animal lives its entire life stressed the hell out in a cage versus an animal that lived free for whatever reason, I think it's a little healthier.
Mm-hmm.
And then to me, not obviously the animal's definitely healthier, but I think it's better eating, not just taste wise, nutrient wise, but I also think that there's something to be said for like how far they push the meat in the store as far as age. So like my wife does like the online click list shopping stuff, and it drives me nuts because you get burger and in a day or two it's starting to turn brown. They're like, oh, it's the oxygen. I'm like, horse shit. I had my deer in the fridge for 2 weeks and that shit didn't turn brown ever. It is not that. It's the oxygen after 6 weeks of your beef sitting there or something. Like
Mm-hmm.
this stuff is so old which I don't understand how, because people are buying, we're there for a while. Hell, we were having shortages with everything with the COVID deal and everything, right?
Mhm.
So, like, why is this happening? I don't know if it's, they're not keeping it warm enough because it's in those meat cases and not in an actual fridge or freezer or what, or if it's just super old. But regardless, when you can look at your deer meat or whatever, name an animal that you killed and butchered, and you can look at it and say, hey, you know what? That doesn't look like it's going to make me sick as shit. Uh, I'd say that's probably way better to eat, way healthier, in every aspect. So I just, I'd like to see a lot of people get more into that side of the hunting thing too. I know a lot of guys get into the killing. I had a buddy, won't mention his name, said I don't want to dog him. I gave him enough shit. We rode him pretty hard, but goes out on public land, kills this big ass deer. Doesn't have a pack. Doesn't have. Doesn't know how to clean the deer. Doesn't know nothing. I'm like, what was your backup plan if you didn't have Chris? What were you gonna do? Like, what were we doing here? Like, were you just gonna sit by the deer until you both decayed? So helped him pack it out, the whole nine. But it'd be nice to see people get into the butchering side of
Mhm.
deer, which is kind of, we were talking about what was it, hunt stock, when they did like the butchering class or what like that. That's the kind of stuff that needs to be at these shows, not meeting dudes and fucking bedazzled jeans. Like, we need to learn how to cut deer up and process and package and the whole nine.
We talk about this a ton too, like the woodsmanship, the aspect of like the
Oh,
things that we grew up around, like just telling what a deer trail is, what a deer trail isn't, what a rub is, a scrape, the way that they're coming into it, the way they're going out of it, the things, the preparation, the food. Like, there's a lot of things, and we talk about this all the time, where like making YouTube videos on how to clean fish, how to gut deer, how to clean a turkey, like people don't know. They don't have a clue.
yeah.
Like, we all talk about how to kill deer, but really, and all after the fact is the things that's not talked about, that nobody has a fucking clue of what
They
to
don't.
do, how to track a deer properly, how to, you know what I'm
Oh,
saying? Like,
dude. Oh my
there's
God.
so many things that these guys don't know. The woodsmanship has totally gone out, and everybody's
Well,
all focused on big deer. It's like, bro, there's a lot more that goes into this.
here's what this happens. I feel we're in an age now where it's information. There's so much information at our fingertips between podcasts and YouTube videos and Facebook and forums. You can learn every single day of the year. You can spend hours just taking in this information. How many how many sits a year do people get? How many hours a year do you actually get in a tree stand? So what's happening is the information we have in our head that we think we know, it's surpassing actual experience. You know
Yes.
what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
there's more knowledge than experience, where back in the day all your knowledge came from experience.
Yep.
And we are superseding actual experience, and it's not our fault, right? Because there's only so many days a year you actually get in a tree stand. You can only
Hmm.
get so many hours a year, and it's, if you really think about it, it's not a lot.
No, no, not at all. And I mean, I used to put in lots and lots and lots, like 50, 60, 70, 80 sits a year. And
Right.
now that sit could be 45 minutes, November 8th or something like that, after work and before it got dark, but after the time change. But I'd put out a lot. And now my goal, being a family guy, I have 3 kids and a wife, multiple, platforms to run, and then the show. So it's like, brother, you better spend more time scouting than you do hunting. And last year it went pretty well. This year we've had some oopsies and blunders and people moving in on me and everything. So it's like the opposite of what I want, which is very few sits. But I agree, woodsmanship, what you were talking about, Steve. I think that's why you have all these posts in these pages like, I spooked a deer, what should I do? I shot a deer here. What's this blood look like? It's like, you
Mm-hmm.
know, I wish we spent, we have a goal to try to put together a really good series on that, like, in the moment, in the shot, and then, the deer's reaction. A lot of guys don't even know to read the body language of deer and understand that more often than not, you can tell where you hit the deer without even looking where the arrow hit, just by the deer's reaction. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't recommend that. Always look at your arrow, guys. But um, there's so many things that we're missing that I think could really be added. And that's kind of the point of the show. And guys like us do the YouTube thing and podcast thing. But I agree, the woodsmanship aspect. Now, I will say, woodsmanship, in my opinion, I wouldn't say it's at an all-time high by any means, but I think it's coming back. I won't say it's dead. A lot of guys are negative and they're like, "Oh, it's dead." And it's like, no, I think what we're seeing is a large influx of hunters because of COVID, especially in the public land craze. And I think that a lot of those guys don't have a clue what they're doing, and a lot of them will be weeded through and they'll quit. They're not going to be around forever. Some of them will, and we'll still have more hunters than we did. But the guys who actually love it and are out there a lot and they care a lot about it, all the best people at anything ever are students, and they just want to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, if it wasn't for, this goes out to every little douchebag that talks shit about podcasts and YouTube channels and
I was
everything
just
else.
gonna go there, actually, Chris.
If it wasn't for the damn podcasts
Mhm.
and the YouTube channels, I would not know the majority of what I know.
Mhm.
I have learned a shitload from guys on the internet because, let's face it, you don't have time to go to meetups all the time and shows. And even then, how do you know that the dude at the show is legit?
Mhm.
Lee Lakowski can't tell me, or pick a famous deer hunter. They're not going to teach me how to deer hunt because I don't have, name however many thousands of acres. Bomar. Like, the majority of those guys, God love them. I don't have a problem with them. Go hunt public land with the poors like us. Go hunt. You're not passing 140, 150, 160-inch deer. I mean, they'd sound like me when I went on my first elk hunt. I'm watching videos. I'm like, oh, I'd pass that bull and that bull. Yeah, you would. And then you go out there and you see like a calf and you're like, you're going to die. So, I mean, I feel like we live in such a great time to be a deer hunter because gear is so phenomenal, and you can basically be as good as you want to be, but also have the time to be. I think that goes hand in hand. Some of these guys that shit, dude, they do like over 1,000 miles. They're in the woods every day. That's not a realistic goal for most human beings any more than Lee Lakowski, right?
Mhm.
Like, not everybody has a job. Now, you can't knock either of those guys, because they've all put themselves in that position. So that's not me knocking them. They're just different. That's
Right.
all.
And
Everybody has different situations.
And I think that, a lot of people talk about, guys like us and YouTube and podcasts and stuff, and they're like, oh, it's all regurgitated shit. But it's all reality is like, I bet you I did more hours than 90% of people that are talking shit about us by the time I was fucking 15 years old in the woods. Like, let's be
Oh, yeah.
real. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
there is a lot of regurgitated crap out there, but there's also a lot of us that we live, breathe, and dream it, like yourself. 200 hours, 200 miles of scouting. Like there is people in these little niche people. Yes, we might not be noticed because there's the COVID boom of podcasts and YouTubers, but we will prevail and we will be seen someday. But
We'll turn the what is it? Turn the milk into butter, the cream into butter, or whatever, like the little mice. But to that though, I will say, to the regurgitated crap thing, I actually learned this. So just because I see a post YouTube video, listen to a podcast, doesn't mean that everybody else did. And so, you have your following, I have mine, and so on and so forth. Just because you say what I did, or I say what you did, and so on and so forth, doesn't mean that it's really regurgitated. There's still, how many people don't even know that you can use an aider, or like there's so many people that don't even know what mobile hunting is, and then they answer like, oh, climber, and I'm like, well, that's kind of mobile, but like you're still limited. Like you can't get in any tree, you can't
Mm.
have limbs, and I'm like, not knocking you, not knocking the climbers, but check this out. And then
Mm-hmm.
you see people's faces light up when they're like, so wait, I can get in that shitty oak tree in the fence row that has limbs everywhere? Yeah, you can. And you don't need leaves if you're in a saddle because put the tree between you and the deer. You don't have to get 60 feet high like everybody talks about, like I used to do in a climber, not
Mm-hmm.
60, but many a times I'd be 35 or 40 and like, dude, I just go 2 sticks with a 3-step movable aider from old Katoya, and here I am, you know, 15 feet ready to kill something.
That's right.
So people again, people just talk a lot of shit, and it's tough not to gripe back at every one of them, but you'd
Mm-hmm.
spend your whole life just
Mm.
arguing the whole time, dude. So you just gotta focus and have tunnel vision a lot.
Just keep moving on.
And thick ass skin, that's for sure.
It's not easy because some of us are hot headed with thick skin, so you just want to just reach through the computer and choke somebody, but you just got to keep proving it, and you'll prove it in your own way. That's one of the most important things.
If I didn't have Josh and Rick, who are literally the opposite of me, they're so professional and like well spoken. What I won't say well mannered because I feel like my manners are on point, but I am like that. Like we had a dude kind of get a little weird at the show, and I was like, I was this close. I'm just like, I'm gonna have to tell this guy how it is. I'm pretty sure that's gonna happen right now. And then I was like, you know what? Just turn around and just leave. Just walk away right now. And I did. But it cracks me up, man, because no matter what, you run into people,
Mm.
they say things or do things or whatever, and it's like, man, it can be tough. So I can identify. I'm pretty sure I was meant to be an East Coast guy.
Come on with it.
Go
Dude.
on.
Let's
I've,
go.
I've got friends from Jersey who are just ready to fucking go right now, and I'm like, God, I love you guys. Like it's more fast paced. People are more like high strung, and
Mm-hmm.
I just like when I travel south, and everybody's just like, well, I don't really care. I don't really care if I.
Shucks.
Oh, dude, like your waitress comes back an hour later, and you're like, hey, you remember that time where I had things to do today? Like, come on, what are you doing? Like, we would have already been done eating. Help me out.
That's like,
So
oh,
when's the Mobile Hunter Expo coming to the Northeast?
Well, that depends. You're probably about to destroy me like the Southern people did last year, but so we've got what we call the Nor'easter, but I regret to inform you that I don't know that it would be in what I would personally call the Northeast. It is going to be in Mannheim, Pennsylvania, which is about 15 minutes from Lancaster, and is actually in the building where they hold the Lancaster Classic.
Mm.
And that's going to
We,
be. I'll have to look that up real quick. I'm pretty
we
sure.
call that the Middle East.
yeah, that's the
Yeah,
Middle East.
that's awesome. So real quick while I'm looking this up, we had the Southern Show last year in Chattanooga, Tennessee, which is minutes from the Georgia and Alabama line. Like you're
That's
almost
south.
in basically the last states other than Florida before you get to the ocean. Dude, all these people are like, well, that's not the real South. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. And then I found out that basically, if you're not touching the Gulf of Mexico, you are not the real South. Like Virginia, the place where their Confederate general is from, was not considered the South. And I'm like, well, I don't know how to feel now. I feel like my history class was all screwed up because I was told that was the South. I was told, you know, I wouldn't consider, if we're talking deer hunting, I wouldn't consider Kentucky the South, even though I would call that the South. But I would still call that a Midwestern state hunting wise. Once you get into Tennessee, baby, they're allowed multiple bucks. the
That's God's
rifle.
country. Tennessee's God
Yeah,
country. What do you mean?
yeah. You're in the Bible Belt. You're
Mm-hmm.
like I don't
Mm-hmm.
like they could own slaves there at one time. Like
Oh yeah.
where are we?
South of the
What
Mason Dixon.
like what are right? Yeah, and I'm like, is there something that can help me define what a southern state is? And nobody could help me out on that one. So,
It all
anyways,
depends on how quick the waitress is. That's how you know how south you are.
basically,
If you
like
stop
once
hearing horns beeping.
So it's funny too because Florida, I don't feel like I'd call Florida the South at all because it's
Mm-mm.
people from the North that are retired or wanted to go where it's sunny. Like I feel like there's probably more actual Northerners in Florida than there are people from the actual South.
Yeah, we call
For
that
sure.
we call that heaven's waiting room. That's not even south. That's
Heaven's
just
waiting room. Well, what pissed me off is when I tried to get biscuits and gravy and they didn't have it in Florida, and I'm like, well, wait a minute, that's like as southern as it gets. What do this ain't the South?
You got to go up north for that.
Yeah. Why don't
North
we
of
just
Florida.
why don't we take Florida and attach it to Maine? Because this is not the South if I can't order
No,
biscuits and gravy. But
well, you ain't never
so
had upstate New York biscuits and gravy then, because that's real biscuits and gravy.
really,
Yeah.
so is there any way I'm a foodie, bro? So you got to describe this to what makes it, in your opinion, what makes it real biscuits and gravy?
When you walk out and you feel like you're gonna have a heart attack.
Well, I eat a lot of stuff that makes me feel like that. So, man, when you guys come to Ohio at some point, you got to come stay with me for a day and let me make you. I make a very region specific biscuits and gravy. I would call it very specific to the Cumberland Gap region, which is like that
Mm.
northern Tennessee, southern Kentucky, very very scratch Appalachian, deep Appalachia kind of deal. Oh, dude, it's good.
I'm on
Cast
my
iron
way. I'm
biscuits.
leaving on Friday.
Oh, dude,
No.
it's like it's unbelievable, honestly. But so our show, we should label this podcast Chris Leppert and the ADHD because that's basically what I've been the whole time. But our show is August 9th through the 11th in 2024, obviously, in Mannheim, PA. And, details will get out. We're still building the shows and everything, getting guest speakers and, working on show times and pricing and the whole structure of the thing, right? But it'll be a banger, man. It'll be region specific for guys from the Northeast. I wouldn't mind trying to talk to at least one guy who is a tracker to get him there. That seems to be a very region specific for you. For you lucky fellers that get snow up there, we don't. You ain't tracking shit here.
Come on
Like,
up with it. We'll
You
put you
can't
in
even
some
get
snow.
mud. Where
Come on.
we're
Just
at.
make sure you clean out the muzzle loader before we get on the track.
We're going to clean.
We we have
Bring
these
that Roman
things.
candle shit.
We have these things called muzzleloader condoms up here. I don't know if you've ever seen one or used one, but
I've used
we have
one.
those.
Oh yeah.
Or electrical
Yeah.
tape. I mean, it's not that hard. Maybe we should send a case to Aaron. He might
Oh.
appreciate it.
Oh, trust me. After that day, I'd baby that muzzle loader if we're in any kind of precipitation. And she gets unloaded, cleaned, and reloaded with fresh everything before we head out the door.
Chris, I got one last question for you,
Okay.
and that is, what drives you outdoors?
What drives me outdoors, man?
It's loaded.
What'd you say?
I said it's loaded. It's a
It's
loaded
loaded.
question.
I like it. Is that technically like a double entendre?
Like a muzzleloader.
What? Damn it, Aaron. Every time. Damn it, Aaron. Oh, dude. Man, what drives me outdoors? Probably scouting. I mean, since I've learned this new woodsmanship thing, there's nothing cooler to me than the scouting aspect of, and that's any animal. This year, Josh and I we didn't target certain turkeys because that would be silly, but we used specific methods to scout and target areas, and we're able to successfully kill birds and be in position to kill birds like quick, like first minutes of the season kind of thing. And that translates into deer, of course, even more. Just learning the different feed trees and native browse and learning thermals and bedding and just the whole aspect of it, man. Learning to identify all the different oaks. I never knew. We have like 75 different oak trees in Ohio alone. I didn't know that. I thought there were like six, and there's just shitloads of them. So that's pretty much what drives me, because there's, like I said before, there is nothing cooler. Even when you take it makes a doe way more meaningful now. Like that's a huge trophy to me, because I knew just about everything there was to know about that deer. I didn't just get trail cam pics of her on a corn pile or something. So I would have to say that.
I think I'd say this on everyone, but that was probably the coolest one. Honestly, it's what because no, in all reality, because like going and scouting and like putting all the pieces together, like that's what makes you want to go in the woods. Like that's is go. What's over the next hill? What is the next
Yep.
thing I'm gonna find? How am I gonna put this piece of the puzzle together? What am I? Like I can definitely relate to that for sure, and I never thought of it like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
It's the whole process, right? Like the kills 15 seconds,
Yep.
but the hours and hundreds of miles of from shed hunting to postseason
Oh,
scouting, and the hours you spend sitting there on the shitter with hunt stand
yeah.
onyx or whatever,
Yeah.
scouting and trail camera. I mean, it's all year long.
Yeah.
That all
Amen.
comes down to a couple seconds at full draw.
Literally, that the best way I think I could put it, actually. Um, if I put you in the last play of the game of the Super Bowl and you caught the winning touchdown pass, but you didn't do anything else that year, it'd probably be pretty cool for a little bit, but it wouldn't feel like it did if you put in the years and the hours and everything in that season, and it would hit way differently and be way, way more meaningful. We all say it, right? But the grind, like when you actually go through all that, man, it hits different. And now that I mean, people want to know when they should scout. I'm like, you're asking me this in June. You're way behind.
Mm.
I started in January. Like, you're way behind now. It stresses me out to even think about that now. And before, I never used to hang trail cams till like July, August, sometimes even later than that. And now I'm like, nope, nope, we're scouting in January and February, and
Cameras
there's
in
the
Yeah,
in
whole year.
I
March.
always say that the season starts the day the last one ends. The
Yep,
season closed yesterday. The new season starts today.
yep. I'm more of an early season guy, and I will say most of my deer get killed in February and March.
Mm-hmm.
That's where they basically make their close to last mistakes. We pretty much, we won't say we have them dialed, but we got some good intel on them in those months. So
Chris, we appreciate you jumping on with us, man. Why don't you tell everybody where they can find you, check you out, what kind of how they can find the Mobile Expo, so on and so forth.
yeah, so you can go to the mobilehuntersexpo.com. That'll have all the information for the upcoming year. Once we have that structured, we'll put that up on the website. Again, that's themobilehuntersexpo.com. And then we have a business page on Instagram and Facebook for that. We have a dedicated YouTube channel for it with hunts and gear videos and little how to's and everything. And we're going to add a lot more stuff to that with the education side soon. And then we have the Fueled by the Outdoors podcast and Facebook group. And then, of course, Insta and the whole 9 yards. So, love for you guys to check us out. And, gentlemen, I appreciate you having me on and giving me your time just as much as I gave you mine. So, it means a lot.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Chris, and thank you everyone for listening. And from now, thanks for taking the ride right here on the Outdoor Drive.